we are making a graveyard cake. Oh, spooky season is upon us, everyone. Yes, it's the most wonderful time of the year. For me, that's Halloween. But we're making a cake that is a graveyard. So if the little sticker on your box on the side right here or on the back does not say graveyard cake kit, you're probably looking for another video. So go ahead and head back to our YouTube channel and find the video that's titled as the same as the sticker that is on your My Make Studio box. But if you are here for the graveyard, it's going to be a hauntingly awesome time. But first things first, you need your graveyard cake baked. So if you're not sure how to bake your cake, or you haven't done so yet, one, pause me. But maybe pause me after I explain this. We have a YouTube video on how to bake your cakes, or we also have written directions on our website, which is mymakestudio.com. And then you want your cake room temperature. You could have it a little bit colder than that, but definitely room temp, because decorating hot cakes turns into a soupy goopy mess, which, you know what? It's a graveyard. And that might actually work. Like, I feel like this is finally the cake kit, which if you've decorated with me before, you know that I've said we don't want a soupy goopy mess, but we might one day. If your cake's a little warm and your icing melts on this, I think it's actually totally gonna work for the vibe. So you know what? This one can be a soupy goopy mess if you want it to be. It'll just be a more eerie graveyard versus a cutesy graveyard. You've got lots of options on how you want to take this, and I'm very excited. I'm just going to basically show you a couple things that you could do with the stuff that's inside your box. This is more of a how to create different elements on your graveyard versus a like, we do this, then this, then this, then this, and this, and this, and this. This is more kind of like our spooky gingerbread house where I just give you options of things you could do. So I'm excited. You want your cakes not hot, but they could be warm. They can be warm. You don't want them like right out of the oven icing on there, but still kind of hot for soupy, goopy, creepy graveyard, or at least room temperature for everything else. And then I always recommend having a pair of scissors and a towel. You could get a butter knife if you want to smooth things out. I think I'm gonna smooth out some dirt, so I will be using a butter knife, but if you have a cake spatula instead, feel free to use that. And then just a towel in general, because things get messy. It's part of the process. But that way you can wipe your fingers off on it, or you can put your open icing bags there to kind of help keep our area a little more clean. And then go ahead and wash your hands if you haven't already done so. Nice and good. And then grab your box, grab your cake, get this stuff, and we're ready to go. Graveyard. I wish that ghosts just were like, woo, all over the place. Okay. Alright, so the next part is also up to you. You can take your cake out of the pan, or you can leave it in the pan. I would say if you're just planning on eating it relatively quickly, I would just leave it in the pan. But if you're planning on having this as a like the showpiece for a Halloween party, then I would definitely make sure your cake is very cold, and then just pop it out of the pan, put it on like a plate, and then decorate it so you can see the graveyardy dirt bits. I'm just gonna leave mine in the pan because I'm actually going to take mine home. So I will leave mine in the pan, and then when I get home, pop it in the freezer for like 10 minutes, and then I'll just turn it upside down and pop it out without trying to mess up my stuff. It's easier to get them out when they're cold. So that's an option too. You can leave it in the pan for now until you're ready to show it off or eat it, and then just chill it for a bit, and then you can take it out. But for now, I'm gonna leave it like this. And then I'm going to start, personally, with chocolate icing. So again, this isn't like a, you need to do this kind of thing. This is let me show you some things you can do. So I've got chocolate. I'm going to take off the little seal. And then I'm not going to put a tip on this one. This is going to be like my dirt. Part of my dirt. Part of my dirt. So I'm going to squeeze chocolate. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, and if you want to level your cake and make it more flat, you can. But if you have a dome going on, I would just use that as part of your design. You've got a spooky graveyard on a hill. It doesn't have to be flat. I'm so excited. Can you tell? And then I'm going to save a little bit of chocolate in case I want it later. But I put most of it on here. And then I'm just going to spread it around with my knife. So I like to go back and forth with the flat part. I'm not really worried about it covering the whole top of the cake. It's just mainly one, I want to eat chocolate icing. And two, it'll help get our candies and stuff to stick better because icing is glue for everything else. So I'm just kind of putting a thin coating on there, but not worrying about it being 100% even and smooth all over the place because most of this dirt, for me personally, is going to be covered up. And then I have a little spot right here, so I'm just lightly petting my icing like a nervous cat. About that amount of pressure. Okay. What's next? So I'm gonna put some grass down before I put any of my candies and stuff on. So I'm gonna take the green, open it up, go ahead and remove the seal. And then inside the bag with all the little candies and stuff in it, there's a funky metal looking thing and a plastic ring. So the funky metal looking thing is one of our tips. We want the one with all the little holes in it. It's the grass tip. We're actually going to use it for grass today. And then the little ring is a coupler ring. So that's what attaches this tip to this. So I'm going to put my tip there, put my ring over it, boop, boop, and then just screw it on. Now it doesn't have to be screwed on here so tight that you can't take it off. It just needs to be on tight enough that I go like this. It doesn't go flying all over the place. And then I like to squeeze a little bit on my towel first. And now with your grass, you've got some different options. So you can hold it a little above your cake and squeeze in the same spot. 1, 2, 3, stop and lift up. For some very trim grass, this is also why I'm leaving it in the pan right now. It's easier for me to show you this way. Or you can keep squeezing while you lift up for some floppy grass action going on. Or you can have wild crazy grass like the HOA is really upset and just spaghetti style it. Whatever feels right for your graveyard. You can make a cutesy graveyard, you can make a spooky graveyard. Oh, there's so many options. But I'm going to do random bits of grass. I'm not covering this whole cake in grass. I'm actually just going to add a few tufts of grass here and there. I'm not going to use all my green just yet. I'm just going to add a couple, and then I'm going to add my candies and whatnot to it, and then go back. And if I want to add any more poofy grass bits, I can. But I just want to add a few right now. And I'm kind of mixing up what styles I'm doing for my grass because I want my graveyard to be like very cartoon spooky graveyard. Like, ooh, it looks like it hasn't been tended to in years. So I feel like when that happens, like not all of the grass is crazy. Like you've got some parts that died a long time ago that are shorter and other parts that have just, flourished and really grown kind of thing. So that's the vibe that I want. I know it doesn't quite look like it yet, but part of cake decorating is trusting the process. It's very scary, I understand, but just keep in mind all cakes, no matter what the design, always look really, really weird until you're done. So mine looks really, really weird right now, but I know that it's gonna come together after I put everything on it. So if you're in the same boat I am, don't worry. It's normal. It's literally with any type of cake you do, they always look like, what on earth is happening? Until you finish them. Totally normal. So then you have some Oreo Crumbles, and I'm going to use this for dirt. And I want it kind of sporadic. So if you want all of it in dirt, I would recommend pouring all of this on a paper plate or just a regular plate and turning your cake upside down and just boop, 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 like sandwiching it in. Or you can do what I'm about to do and sprinkle it on and then pat it. Now, I don't want dirt clumps everywhere. I want to see some of this icing too, to have like a multi-layered dirt thing going on. So I'm only going to sprinkle it in a couple of spots for now. Plus Oreos. Yes, please. But you could just also pour it all on here and then use your hand and just lightly tap it. Like, boop, 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 boop. Not like, just boop, boop, boop. To help get it to stick a little too. And the reason I put some grass on first is icing doesn't really like to stick to Oreos as much. You can do it, you just need to squeeze it a little bit longer, but I wanted different levels of grass, so I like that it looks like my grass is coming out of the dirt and not on it. So I'm happy with this amount of Oreo. So next I'm going to use the white fondant. So you have a lot of options for your white fondant. One, you could make little skeleton heads, and I will show you how to make a skeleton head. Two, you make some ghosts. Three, you can use it to make tombstones. And, I mean, I'm sure there's something I'm not thinking of. You could use it to make scary looking, like, albino ice spiders. Like, you could make a mummy with it. You could make some weird tubes. There's all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to cut this into a few different pieces so I can show you each thing you could do. And I recommend watching that first and then deciding what you want to do, but also feel free to look some things up. Or if you have some cookie cutters at home that you want on your grave guard, just roll this out with either a rolling pin or like a bottle or a big Sharpie, and then cookie cut the shapes out too. There's so much you can do because fondant is just Play-Doh you can eat, which is awesome. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to use this to show you how to make some little skulls. And then I'm going to cut this in half because I definitely want tombstones. So this is going to be my ghosts and this will be my tombstones. So I'm going to set that aside. So if you're doing a little skull, just rip some off, give it a good mush. And then if you have any icing on your hands, like stop and go wash your hands. And make sure they're super duper dry and then come back and mush your fondant, especially if chocolate on them because the chocolate will stain this. But then you just have like a dirty looking skull and I feel like that still totally works. But I'm going to mush it up, roll it into a ball. And then for my skull, you can either take a toothpick or a pair of scissors, but I'm going to stick it in and then rotate it for where I want eyes. And then I'm just going to draw a little line. It's a little hard to see with the light, but you can draw a little face with scissors or toothpicks, or you could just make a ball and then you have another tip inside your bag, which we'll go over in a little bit, that is a number 4 that is used for writing and drawing. So you could just make a ball and then go back and add like 2 black spots for the eyes and then the nose and like a blah, 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 or a ha or kind of smile going on. So I feel like that's how you're going to see this better. So I'll do that with this one. I'm just going to make a ball. And I'm going to stop. So now for ghosts. I want a couple, so I'm just going to rip off some chunks. And then I feel like everything shaping-wise is easiest from a ball. So I'm just going to roll them all into individual balls. And then for me, I like to, I'm not going to mosquito squash them, I'm just going to boop it so it's not as round. And I'm going to pick an end and pinch it. So it kind of looks like a weird like avocado or guitar pick or a teardrop. And then up here, I'm going to pinch another, and pinch another. And then boop, 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 boop. And I've got a ghost being like, woo, woo. You could also just make it flat. Boop, 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 boop. And cut out a ghost shape with a pair of scissors or a toothpick. I like to do the ball way because I want my ghost to stand up, and the thicker your fondant is, the easier it is to get it to stand versus when it's really thin like this. But I only want I want one ghost where he's like, ah, like peeking out. So this one will work for that. I cut it like so. And then I'm just going to cut a little bit out for his arms and then just tap the point. Fold them down a little. Yes! And one of the best parts about fondant is if you mess up, just squish it back together. And you can just re-roll it and whatnot. So I'm going to make a couple more little ghosts. I'm going to do another one that's like that one, but I'm going to make him more than the other one. I hope that made sense to you. Yes. So it's just like I did this one. I just made the little pinch part longer. And then for an albino spider, I would roll 2 balls like this, set them side by side, and then just roll little tiny tube snakes and set it next to it for the legs. It's an option. Do we want an albino spider today? I'm gonna think about it. I think I do. I'm gonna make a spider. So I'll put him right there. And then I'm actually gonna get rid of one of my skulls. Because I'm a tombstone kind of gal. So I definitely want some tombstones. So I just took little pinches and rolled out the legs. And I'm just gonna set them next to my spider up here. So I remember. I'm so excited to see your guys' graveyards. I'm really excited to see what everybody does with this. I really like freeform things because I love creativity. Cake is just art you can eat and it's fantastic. So I'm so excited to see what you guys come up with this. Like, feel free to tag us with hashtag MyMakeStudioKids or blow up our Facebook and Instagram with your photos. Like, I really want to see your graveyards. Like, oh, I'm so excited. You can also use these tube snakes. Words are hard sometimes, you guys. And you could make a spider web in a section of your cake with little fondant tube snakes instead. Just look up a picture of a spider web. I would go corner, personally, one of the corners for that. But you could do it in the center if you wanted. So next we're gonna make our tombstones. Yes! So for our tombstones, you have some black icing in here. And that little square of white fondant over here that I've left aside, I'm going to take off the seal, and I'm just going to add a small amount of icing to my white fondant. It's going to feel a little weird when you mix it up, just a heads up. It's kind of a strange feeling. But let's go ahead and squeeze some out. There we go. And then I'm just going to put a little boop, little blop on there. And now I'm going to mush it up. So when I say mush it, it's not just squeeze, squeeze, bam. You've actually got to twist it, push it, mash it, mix it, and all that jazz to actually get it to mix. You can't just squeeze it, and be done. You've actually got to mix it up with your hands. So I'm going to fold it and twist it. And just mix it up. Now, if you want it a little darker, you can add more black to it. But I want like a pale gray. You can also not mix it all the way and have it like it is now to where it's like a marble tombstone instead if you'd like. And if you want your ghosts to be green instead, you could re-ball them up and add a little bit of green to your fondant and then mix them up that way and then just reform your ghosts. Same thing with your spider. Oh my gosh, if you want a green spider. Ooh, that would have been cool. Ooh, I might, no, I won't, but it's an option that you could do. So I'm happy with this. And for my tombstones, I'm just going to rip off little chunks, kind of like with the ghosts, form a ball, then not pancake it, but boop, it, and then I'm just going to pinch the side. Ta-da! And I'm just going to make a couple of those, and I'm going to make them kind of different sizes. You can also play with pointing some of the bits if you want. So let me point some. And then for pointed, I'm just going to pinch the top and then pinch the sides just to give a slightly different look to my tombstone. And I'm just going to do a few different ones. And if you still feel like they're too round, just go ahead and boop them a little bit more. Yes. And then I want this one really big, so I'm really going to squish this one. Hua. And then same thing, you can use scissors to cut it, but I'm just gonna poop like the sides, and then right here to make it more flat so it'll stick in my cake better. The wider you make your tombstones, the more more room you have to write things on them. So if you want to write a really long, big, let's say you've got the hill graveyard going on, you could make one giant tombstone on top of your hill with all of this gray fondant right here, and have room to write some things on there too. You can also play around, it is a lot like Play-Doh and clay, so if that is your speed, you could totally make a gargoyle too with this. Make some little cats, all the options. And then I want 2 more. So I'm making tiny tombstones. Yes. All right, so I actually think I'm ready to start sticking some things in. So I'm going to start with my tombstones. So I'm going to just shove them into my icing, or into my cake. And then, let's see. Let's have this one here. Yes. Here, and one right here. So then I'm going to go back with my green and add little tufts of grass right in front of my tombstones and behind them as a little extra support system so they don't fall over. Whoop, see? You can also put a layer of icing down and then stick your tombstone onto that. It's just because they don't want to stick as much now that the Oreos are there. Now, if your icing is lifting up like that, just squeeze it in the same spot a little bit longer, stop, and then lift up. It's less likely going to pull it off of your Oreo crumbles if you do it that way. You can also figure out where you want your tombstones and then scrape the Oreos off in that spot and stick your tombstone on there too. All the options. And then I still have some green. I'm still gonna wait to add more grass, so that's just me personally. I'm gonna set it aside. And now I'm gonna go to my pumpkins, actually. Now you don't have to use all of the gummy worms or all of the pumpkins or all the fondant or the candy bones, but you can if you want. I'm not sure if I'll use all of them or not quite yet. So I'm actually gonna turn my cake so I can see it, because this is gonna be the front of my cake for me. And then I'm going to just stick some pumpkins on here and there. And I'm really pushing them into my cake. When I push them, I'm actually twisting them a little bit, especially if you have those Oreos on there. Because then one just fell off. See, I didn't do it to that one. So it makes them stick a little bit better. And it looks like they're growing out of the dirt. One more pumpkin, and then I'm going to save these last 2 in case I want them or in case I don't. And then I'm going to go to my bones. I love these candy bones. I love the yellow ones in particular, the yellow, red, and blue, but that tends to be my color choice for candy in general is, is it red, is it yellow, is it blue, I want to eat it. So, and then with my bones, I'm just going to stick them randomly into the cake, but you can lay them sideways. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. Like that. Or you can stick them standing up. Like that red one. I'm going to do a mix of them. You can also cut your bones in half and have it to where you can tell that they're a bone cut in half, or have part of a bone over here and another bone. Cut them in half and have part of a bone here or another bone piece over here. That's actually what I'm going to do with my gummy worms here in a little bit. But you can do that with the bones too. So I'm just going to stick on some bones. And then I think I'm at a point where after I've stuck some bones on, I will be able to decide if I want more grass or not. Because the more grass tufts I have, the easier it's going to be to put these bones on them. But I'm also really liking sticking them coming in different angles all throughout the cake. Got options. I'm so excited to see what you guys do with this. Beyond excited. Yes! Okay. So now I am going to Ooh, what am I gonna do? Ooh. I'm actually gonna put some more grass on my cake first. So let me add a couple more tufts in random places. And again, this is just how I feel like my graveyard cake should be today. Because I'm one of those people that just because I'm doing the same like kit and design doesn't mean that the cake feels the same, because I'm a little crazy and cakes have personalities, and I feel like I talk to them while I decorate, and I feel like they tell me what they want them to be, and this is how the cake feels today. So this is the way I would make this specific cake on the table. But I'm excited to see how your creations come out. I know I've said that a lot, but I really am excited to see how your creations come out. So now I'm gonna add my gummy worms. I love gummy worms, especially the red and green ones. And I'm gonna leave this one whole because I wanna do something cool with that one. But the rest of them, you can either just lay them on top or stick them in different places, but what I like to do is cut them in half and stick them coming out of out of one of the grass tufts randomly, so it looks like my dirt, like the cake is full of worms and they're slowly like oozing out of the cake, because that's how I roll. All right, so I've got my worms coming out of different spots. And if you don't have your cake in the cake pan, you could put them coming out of the sides of the cake as well. And now I want to add my ghosts. So where my ghosts are going to go, I'm probably going to need some more like tuft of grass to help them stick in. So I'm personally going to have my ghosts next to various tombstones. Like that's their tombstone. And then I actually want this guy, now that I've made him, I want him a little smaller. So I'm going to rip him, or I'm not going to rip him. I'm going to mush him back up and make him like shorter. He just looks a little too big for the tombstones that I made. Yes. And then my spider. Where are we going to put you, spider? Ooh, I'm going to put my spider in between these tombstones. Around the bones. And then, I'm totally going to put a bone under his mouth like he's eating it. I'm going to cut it in half. Yes. Oh, I need some more. I need grass. I need grass. I need grass. Give me grass. So I can have spider eating bones. Yeah, that's awesome. I love Halloween, you guys. I love all forms of Halloween. I like the creepy, I like the cutesy, I just like Halloween. It's my favorite. Me and my grandma used to stay up until midnight on October 1st, and then I would go in the attic and pull down the 8 giant Halloween trunks, and we would pull everything out and we would stay up and decorate the entire house from the inside, because she liked to have like a walk-through haunted house type situation going on. And then we would usually be up till like 5 a.m. And this was when I was really young too, so I probably shouldn't have been up that late. Like, if you have a bedtime, follow your bedtime. Don't wind up with insomnia like me. But we would stay up and then take a nap, and then later in the afternoon is then when we would spend the rest of the day decorating the yard. Like, it was always done October 1st right at midnight. And I think that's part of why I like Halloween so much. Yeah! Alright, and then my skull is going to go over here. And I am just going to pinch his face a little bit to give him a slightly different shape. And I'm going to put him by this pumpkin. So the last thing I'm going to do is actually go back to this black icing, and I'm going to put that round tip on it. So you'll need to take the little ring off of this one if you haven't already done so. Oh, come on. Come on. You're making me look weird. I'm making me look weird. Let's be real. And then this is how you can do a bunch of things, because this tip is usually used for writing, drawing, or polka dots. So I'm going to use it for writing and drawing. So I'm going to use this to put faces on my ghosts and on some of my pumpkins. And then I'm going to use it for spider eyeballs, which would be polka dots. And then I'm going to use it to write on my tombstones too. So I've got to look at them, and I'll turn them around and show ya. And there we go. So this is a way you could do a graveyard cake. It's so cool! And that is it, you guys. So this is just some ideas to what you could do for your graveyard. I hope that it helped, and I hope that you have fun decorating your graveyard cake. Thank you so much for joining me today. And for realsies, I'm so excited to see what kind of different graveyards you guys come up with. So you can always tag us with hashtag MyMakeStudioKits, or you can send us your photos on our Facebook, which is MyMakeStudio, or our Instagram, which is @MyMakeStudio. Those two places are also good places to just follow in general. We're constantly updating like what's coming up, new events that we have. Like if you didn't know, we're based in Colorado, so if you want to see what's going on here in Colorado, then you can check it out there. But it's a good way to see of like the new and upcoming things. And feel free to send us your spooktacular creations. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And then also, if you're like, I liked this, but I'm not feeling Halloween, we do stuff that's not just Halloween, and we also do round cakes and cupcakes, and then we have some cakes that taste and look like pumpkins that you decorate. We also have spooky gingerbread houses, then we have like regular gingerbread houses in December, and then we also have pie kits right now. We have, sorry guys, we got a lot going on right now. So if you just want to see what else we have and maybe find something else you would love to decorate, go ahead and check out our website, which is mymakestudio.com. But thank you again so much for coming today. I really do hope you had a good time. Enjoy your spooky creations and enjoy eating your spooky creations. And as always,